Hi, this is Jeff from the Ozark Mountains in Missouri, USA. Well, we got another package, kind of this nifty pinkish purplish bubble wrap thing here, and inside is another pocket computer, and this one is not working. The guy that owned this said he fired it up for the first time in a couple of years and it doesn't work. So he sent it to me and he said maybe I can fix it, maybe use it for parts, whatever. Thought it might make an interesting video, so here we go. We're going to jump right in and see if we can't get this sharpened up. Yeah, it was upside down. What are you going to do? Thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. They not only do PCBs and flex PCBs, they also have 3D printing service, injection molding service. They do CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication. They also have a thriving maker community where you can share projects and check out what other people are doing. For your next project, head on over to PCBWay. So I've got the bench power supply kind of rigged up here to our Sharp pocket computer. Not using the external connector just in case there's a contact pad in it. So I've got it kind of rigged up here. Measure the current going through it. This is much more accurate than the reading on the bench power supply. Turn the power on. 15 milliamps. Press the on button and nothing. This does not have a contrast wheel. So, okay, buttons don't do anything, no display, drawing lots of current. That gives us some place to start. One thing I noticed on this is it has a bit of a corroded spring right here and this pad right here. So it's had at least one corroded battery in it, and that could be the source of our problem. Alrighty, all the screws are the same. This does show signs of being pried open before. Okay. Battery contacts are holding us up. And the power connection there. All right. Yeah, there's signs of a little leakage right here. That's wet. Got some wet down here. Yeah, right there. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say we'll wipe up all this battery acid. It's not really acid, it's alkaline, but we'll wipe that up and then peel this protective sheet off of here and see if there's corrosion under that. So here I'm using some alcohol to clean up the battery leakage that's on top of the black plastic protector, and then I'll use a heat gun to heat that up and peel it off of the circuit board. It took several minutes to do that because I didn't want to get the circuit board too hot. We got the little plastic protective sheet out of here, and it indeed has done its job. I don't see any corrosion in this area underneath it. Want to take a minute here and just take a look in general at the layout of this board. It's very similar to the PC G820 and 830 we looked at a few weeks ago. We've got our processor here, RAM and ROM, LCD driver. This one's a little different. It's using a flat flex from the LCD instead of zebra strips, and it's got one of the LCD drivers on this chip on flex thing right here. So it's soldered on this end and this is a heat seal type connector. There's another heat seal connector here. And just like on the PCG 820, we've got a little switching power supply here to drive the LCD. So at first I didn't see anything in this area. Before powering it up with nothing in here and these metal bits flopping around, I made a very high-tech piece of paper to slip in here like this. You won't see that on any other channel. Anyhow, so you know, I hooked up the oscilloscope, measured the crystal frequency. I'll pop a picture of that up here, and that looked fine. Measured the voltage to the CPU, that looked fine. I don't have a pinout for this CPU, but it looks somewhat similar to the PCG 820, but it's a different part number. But we're getting 5.2 volts here. This looks like a smaller smaller version of the low voltage detect chip, and it appears fine. And I scratched my head for a while, and I even got out a second PCG 850 out of my box of Misfit pocket computers. This one has some LCD stripes, and compared readings, that same voltage readings, clock, things like that. So that all look, you know, this looked like this should work, except it was drawing too much current and not starting up. Seemed weird. And then I noticed something strange right here. I'll pop a picture of that up here. It looked like some green crusties. I almost didn't see that at first. Let me focus in on that. I'll show you what I found. Okay, so we have a couple traces here that we completely lost. The ones beside it are okay. And again, without the pinout to the processor, I don't know exactly what these are, you know, easily, but if we look at where these traces go, they go this way toward the system bus connector, and I'll pop up a picture of the system bus pinout here. So we can see they go to the end of the system bus connector with a low number of pins. So these are important signals. They're going toward, you know, this way toward the rest of the machine. So I think we definitely need whatever these two signals are. We need them to boot up properly. These breaks right beside each other is kind of difficult. There's no via here to patch to. So I'm going to try a really small piece of wire like this. We'll do this one first since it's the most difficult. I want to scrape off a little more of that stuff here, the solder mask. Just like that, so I have something to solder to, and we'll try to fix that. I added some flux to this area and tinned here where we want to try to add some wire jumpers. So here is the general idea of the fix. Use some 30 gauge wire, wrap wire. I tried to pre-bend it to follow the original traces. Given that these two traces were right beside each other and this is such a fine pitch, it was very difficult. I got one on, as you see here, and when I tried to do the one to the left of it, they bridged and they were just not in the right position and it didn't work out well, so I wound up doing it a different way. The pin to the left, I was able to use the via. That made it a little easier, kept the wire in place. The one to the right, I kind of made a loop, went up and around. And I realized after I did that, I should have used the horizontal section down at the bottom of that. It would have made it a little easier, but it works and I'm not changing it now. And I went over our sad looking bodges with some E6000 glue. I've used that in the past. It doesn't seem to turn conductive and it holds well while being removable without destroying things. Okay, got our bench power supply plugged in. I'm going to enable it. Woohoo! Look at that. It'll go on and off. And the display even looks nice. Oh, that's a relief. I put that black plastic protection sheet down. It was still sufficiently sticky. It's a little bubbly, but it's mostly hidden by the battery compartment anyhow. I pulled off the negative contact and this spring contact here, soaked them in citric acid to get rid of the corrosion, rinsed them, squirted them with some WD-40 to help prevent some rust. And so now we've got this guy done. Our glue's dried up, so go ahead and put the cover back on it. Make sure it still works. This is the PCG 850S that I got out of my drawer of broken pocket computers. It has some missing stripes, and if I mess with the flex underneath here, you can get them to show up and go away. It's a lot harder to see on camera than in person, but you can see I've caused other ones there. So I thought since we had it out and we had it apart, we would try to fix it. It seems it's in the where the flex is heat sealed to this board, or maybe here. Not making as big a difference there as I am on. Yeah, seems to be right in here. So I have a special tip here that I got from AliExpress a few years ago. It's just a brass T-shaped piece with a silicone foot, and I used a thermocouple, pressed this down on the thermocouple, set the heat of my soldering station so I had about 140 C across the silicone face. And what I'm going to do, I've got the power off by the way, I'm going to press this down in here. Go ahead and get this side while I'm at it. So now I'll turn on the power supply. See if we improved things. Well, I don't see any stripes. That was surprisingly easy. Go ahead and play with that flex. Oh, that looks perfectly fine now. How about that? It's hard for you to see because of the reflection. There we go. See, we've got everything lit back up. Memory clear, yes. There's another good shot of it. And these tips are fairly inexpensive. You want to make sure you get the one with the sock and get it so it's the right diameter to match your iron. I had to turn mine down on the lathe because I bought the wrong diameter, but it works. Nice, easy fix. Well, how about that? We set out to fix this Sharp PCG 850S that somebody sent in, and we got it running. Kind of hard to see the LCD in this light, but it is functioning fine. And I just happened to get out another broken one to kind of compare the two, and it just had a wonky LCD flex cable, which we managed to reseal in just a few minutes. So kind of a bonus. We got two fixed for the price of one. As you can see, corroding batteries can cause problems even years after you pull the batteries out. It'll get just a little crust or crud from that battery contact that was corroded. It'll fall somewhere, and years later it'll eat through the traces that are there. I've had it get under processors and a Model 100, etc. You never know. And sometimes it can be pretty hard to track down. This was easy to find. It was kind of difficult to fix. That took me an hour, a little better, to fix just those two little traces because they were right beside each other and there's not a lot of space there. Anyhow, we got the job done. It was a lot of fun, very satisfying. If you have any questions, let me know in that comment section down below. Thanks to everyone who helped support the Hey Birt channel through Patreon and other means. It is greatly appreciated. And until next time, bye.